Hello, Pokemon Fan 993 here, back from Pokemon Scarlet Online Battles. So normally when I do these kinds of videos, I usually set them up to do two at a time. That way the video is more padded out. Because some matches really don't last that long. But this one actually lasted for a solid amount of time, almost actually over the time limit that it set. But I said no restrictions. My team Masquerada, Vaporeon, Hisuian, Typhlosion, Galvantula, Dachshund, and Mudsdale. So this match was a really good match. It was also very, very close regardless of what he was using. But he has Tickaton, Iron Thorns, Roaring Moon, Cinderace, Golhingo, and Dragonite. So immediately, for those who don't know, Golhingo is usually a very powerful mon that's really hard to get by. I don't see a lot of Iron Thorns, and Roaring Moon also could be a problem. Tickaton's kind of hit or miss because Tickaton, I think, has to have better stats for her to be a really big threat. But this turned out to a 6v6, no restrictions, so we're going to look into what happens here. So I start with Galvantula, and he starts with Dragonite. So Dragonite is shiny, and just like every Dragon in this game, for whatever reason, it seems tilted, like not in the right direction, like it's not flying properly. So I start with Sticky Web. Sticky Web becomes a very quick staple in this match, because he doesn't remove it. And this will also teach you guys wondering why people use Sticky Web. This is one of the reasons. So he goes for Dragon Dance. Now, Compound Eyes is a very niche kind of ability, but Galvantula has it. And basically what I'm doing here is I'm going to be using Thunder combined with Compound Eyes to increase my accuracy. So right now you're going to see that I take a bit of time before I hit battle in between matches because I'm actually recording through my phone what attacks the Pokemon has, what items they have, and everything. That way I can get that way I don't forget that something's going on. So I go for a Thunder. He goes for another Dragon Dance. So if he did not have leftovers, this match might have ended during this next turn, but he had leftovers. So, and I think a lot of his Pokemon do have leftovers as a whole. Like I don't think I think maybe one or two of his Pokemon maybe had something else, but a lot of his Pokemon had leftovers. So I'm going to go for another Thunder here. It's going to bring him down to very low HP, but not knock him out. He goes for an Earthquake, which because of my Focus Sash, I survived with 1 HP left. And I go for a Thunder, which obviously, like I said, because of the leftovers, he actually survives with a little HP left. And because of the Dragon, I can't really outspeed him. And with Galvantula only having 1 HP point left, I decided to just let him, maybe he'd miss the Earthquake or something like that, so I decided to just go right for the, or did I? Yeah, I considered switching out, but once I realized that Earthquake would hit any of my Pokemon for regular damage, I decided to just go for a Volt Switch. In case that somehow I managed to go first, maybe through a speed tie. Galvantula goes down. His leftovers activate again to restore a little bit of HP. Leftovers actually one of the most broken items in this game, so if you're running like a stall. I sent out Mudsdale next. I figure, well, Mudsdale has Earthquake and a bunch of other ones, but I forgot Dragonite can actually learn a couple ice moves, including Ice Spinner. So he actually hits me with this, but because of Mudsdale's mass defense stat, I don't take a full hit, and my defense increases. So then I go for a Body Slam, so one of the only moves I have that's actually regularly effective on him. So if this Dragon didn't have Multiscale, he might have lost to Galvantula early on. Multiscale reduces damage when a Pokemon has full HP with the ability. And aside from Dragonite, I think one or two other mons, no other Pokemon in the game has Multiscale, or ever has had Multiscale. Switches to Tinkaton. And I thought, okay, this was okay. And Tinkaton is actually faster even with the Sticky Web in play. So he goes for a Ice Hammer, which I could have probably guessed it would learn, but I had no idea. But I had no idea it actually could learn. So he goes for an Ice Hammer. I thought maybe with the defense I might be alright, but nope. I was Mudsdale. His defense speed goes down again because of Ice Hammer's secondary effect. So I figured, well, obviously he's going to be slower, so I decided to switch to Typhlosion here, assuming that once I'm able to write down what I'm writing down. After I was making a decision here because I could have swapped to a couple Pokemon that would have outsped him. But I want to say Masquerade for a little bit later, so I switched to Typhlosion. I was like, okay, well, if it knows anything besides Earthquake, it's going to be a problem. But I figured, well, might as well. I think I could one-shot it because Typhlosion is suited with a Life Orb, max special attack, and speed. Assuming Typhlosion is also kind of underrated. So I go for a Flamethrower here because the only move I had to be effective. And because of the Life Orb, I don't know if it would have changed because of the Life Orb, but I did one-shot him with no critical hit. So that might have been, maybe it has something to do with the Life Orb, I'm not really sure. If it would have made a difference or not. So now it switches to Roaring Moon, which we're going to be on this Pokemon for a while because of the way he has it set up. And for some reason, even though he's in the air, gets caught in the sticky web. I guess maybe because he's not flying or something weird like that. So I figure, well, I could Terra out, and I was like, no, I'm not going to do that because there's no point. So I was deciding what I should go for. And I was like, okay, well, I think Typhlosion was dead anyway, so I go for a Flamethrower, hoping to burn him, because Roaring Moon is normally a physical attacker. I lose some HP because of the Life Orb. He goes for Crunch, and knocks Typhlosion out. So, next is Henna Masquerada. So, for those who don't know, I don't like this particular move, but I have it on Masquerada to avoid possible certain hits from certain types. So I switched to Masquerada. Protein allows me to change the type once per battle. Well, no, once per each time Masquerada is in. So I go for Masquerada, and I use Play Rough. Play Rough will be super effective. And I have a choice scarf, so my speed is enhanced. And unfortunately, I do change to Fairy, regardless if I hit it or not. But unfortunately, I miss, which actually might have actually ended it right there if that's not the case. He goes for a Dragon Claw, luckily, and Dragon Moves don't hit Fairy, so he does that. So I go for a second Play Rough. I believe it takes a fair minute here because I think he Terras to Fire for Roaring Moon. Take a minute because I guess he's just taking a lot longer to decide what he wanted to do from this situation. So, from my understanding, I wrote down all the moves, and it was Dragon Claw, Crunch, Dragon Dance, and Roost. So, for those who don't know, that actually could be a very deadly set. I think he had a very similar set for Dragonite as well. Which I get it, you like dragons, but there's also a lot of problems that come with just liking one type. Like, you could Terra one, but you still have to find a way to avoid damage. So I go for another Play Rough. He's Terra Fire now, so I can't actually do very much damage. He goes for a Dragon Dance. And that increases attack and speed. I was like, hey, so I got to figure a way out of this. So I'm like, okay, this is not going to work because he's just going to keep powering up Roaring Moon until we can one-shot Masquerada. Ow, I hit my arm on my computer. So I'm like, okay, this Play Rough is not going to work. So actually I do use a second Play Rough. I think I was trying to lower his attack stat. He goes for a Crunch, which doesn't do much damage because I still am part Fairy, if I wasn't. So up to this point, I didn't know I had Roost, so I figured I might be able to just power my way through it. But during his next turn, he used Roost, and that's when I realized Masquerade's not going to be able to deal with this. I'm very surprised I didn't get a single stat decrease during the entire thing. So I'm like, okay, so I got to figure out a way to get around this because this run was meant to kind of stall out a little bit. So I decided to switch to the one Pokemon team that I know I could stall with. So this set, I think this is an older set for me from Sword and Shield. By the way, this is not. This was a mon that I actually got from a giveaway. So someone named their Beyonce. So goes for another Dragon Dance here. So the good thing, one thing I did teach this Vaporeon that I'm really glad I did is a move called Mist. For those who don't know, Mist actually negates all stats enhancements on the field. Meaning, if I use this, his Dragon Dance no longer gets that speed and attack boost from Dragon Dance. I even double checked to make sure I got the right move here. He goes for a Crunch, which does about half my HP. I go for a Haze, that'll get rid of his stat specs. Now he can't finish me off during next turn. And then basically what happened here is we basically turned this into a waiting battle. So, my Vaporeon, like I said, his moves are Dragon Dance, Roost, Dragon Claw, and Crunch. My moves are Scald, Wish, Protect, and Haze. So, because of the way each of us has set up, basically what happens is he can do his immediately. I have to wait one turn, but we both can heal ourselves. And he realized with Mist in play, there's nothing he could do if he kept using Dragon Dance. He wasn't going to get past this. Unfortunately, he was being very stubborn here because I could have seen a couple Pokemon that was in his party that could have possibly dealt with this a lot better than his Salamence could. So Lance also has leftovers as well. So now I go for a Scald. He either goes for a Crunch or a Dragon Claw. By the way, I'm going to say this too. If you tear your Pokemon to a type it doesn't have, you don't get the stab bonus anymore. So I actually get a critical hit here. Now because he's part fire, I don't know if he's able to get burned or not, but it came pretty close. Wish activates, I get half my HP back. And I only decided to go for another wish here because I know he'd go for another roost, or he would try to. So with restore HP with the leftovers, this kind of turned into a bit of a stall out here. But like I said, he had a couple of men that could have dealt with this a lot better. So I go for a second wish to make sure I keep my HP high. Because I thought at some point he might swap again, but he actually didn't. So I go for another wish. And then I'm trying to remember if I go for a Scald or a Protect here. I think I go for a Protect. My memory's so damn bad. This battle was only today, and I still don't remember, like what actually happened fully in it. Probably because I'm tired. I actually got up and I almost couldn't move my legs. I don't know if it was the way I sat or whatever, but I actually called into work as well. So I was like, okay. So I go for Protect here. He goes for a Roost. Probably didn't even to go for Protect. Probably run straight for a Scald. Get some of his HP back. And then I believe from here, I just spam Scald. Because now he can't cause enough damage for me to be worried about Vaporeon anymore. Both restore both our HP. And I will say that he would have been better off getting him a booster energy. Although booster energy can only be, usually you can only get 1 or 2. So maybe he would head on Iron Thorns. But I don't think he ever activated, so maybe he didn't have one. He goes for a Crunch here. Does about a quarter of my HP. I go for a Scald. Almost kills him. I decide, well, I'm just going to go for another Scald and end this, because this could go on forever. And also near this answer, you're actually going to see the game say, well, you only have 2 minutes left. And I've not played this game enough. Like, for no restriction, I guess they give you a 20-minute time limit. And I didn't realize it was going on for that long. I was like, shit, I hope we can end this pretty quickly. So I go for another Scald. He decides to be stubborn to keep in, so I go for another one. And that puts down his Roaring Moon and gets rid of his only Terra he had. At the point, all of his team is shiny, and that's cool and everything, but I don't think I would grind Pokemon to get a shiny for my entire team. Especially if your team ends up sucking. Like, you've spent all that time catching those shiny Pokemon for what? Just to have your butt kicked. Obviously, Beyonce is the exception because I got her from a giveaway, but... So now we have the real threat here. Golingo is a special Pokemon. He gets caught in the sticky web, so that's fine. Whoops. Sorry, I hit my mic there. So I go for a Scald here. And I actually get lucky here and get a burn. Now this burn is going to come into very much a consideration during the end of this game. He goes for Thunderbolt. Beyonce survives because of her massive HP and special defense buff. I'm like, okay, so I got to figure out, because Beyonce was going to die. Beyonce was faster, but I was kind of also scared because you could see it doesn't even burn on the half, so it means another Scald would not be enough to knock him out unless I got a critical. So I switched to Masquerade because then he'd go for another Thunderbolt. Now, like I said, Masquerade is a attack speed EVs adamant with the choice scarf, meaning that her attack and speed are both pretty high. So I go for a knockoff here. But he saw that, I think he saw it coming, and he swaps to his other Pokemon, which is Iron Thorns. Which is his other, no, he has one more Pokemon left. No, he switches to another Pokemon, didn't switch to Iron Thorns, he switches to another Pokemon, and I am able to knock, it was Cinderace. I use knockoff here. So knockoff will get rid of his item and cause extra damage. Sticky Web takes effect here. I don't know if that would have been a big enough impact, but I'm guessing it was because I think I would still be faster regardless of the Sticky Web or not, and I'd knock off the Life Orb. Now I'm still faster, and I'm choiced into knockoff, so I just go for a second one. And because I am faster, Cinderace goes away. At this point, I think I stopped writing stuff down because I pretty much knew what their Pokemon were. But when you have 6 Pokemon, if you don't remember what's going on some of the times, it can cause a lot of problems when you're battling. Like, you can forget your opponent has Protect or Recover or something similar like that. Or even just buff moves. So now he switches back to his other Pokemon because he knew what was going on. He switches to his Iron Thorns. I'm guessing he took a minute here because he was considering switching to Golingo, but I figured he must have figured with the Sticky Web I would have knocked it out, and I would have got rid of his Hell item. So Iron Thorn's one we don't see a lot of because I think he's kind of like underused. He gets caught in the sticky web, speed goes down. So the only thing I really do here, I didn't see. I probably could have kept Masquerada for when Galingo came back, but I wasn't thinking too much on that part of it during this thought process here. So he goes for, I believe I go for a knockoff here. It gets him down to about half HP. Knocks off his Held Item, which I believe is a leftovers like the other ones were. So he gets rid of his Held Item, but he actually has a lot of defense, so he survives that. He goes for a Stone Edge. Now we got kind of lucky here because those who don't, Stone Edge is like 70 to 85% accuracy, which, for those who don't know, if you have a Pokemon that has like anything below 90% or lower, you really don't want to rely on that move too much. So the only thing I can do is switch to Dachsbun here. Now Dachsbun is a, I chose Dachsbun because of his well-baked body would allow me to survive a fire move and would increase his defense. So I Terra Fairy here and I go for Play Rough. I don't remember how I had this Dachsbun set up. I might have set it up to have max special defense, but I think I went for the attack and speed normally. So we're going to see what happens here. I will go for one Play Rough here. It isn't quite enough to knock him out, but it comes close. Yeah, came pretty close. And I do lower his attack this one time. So I goes for Earthquake here, which actually I'm surprised I don't know what Steel-type move. And I go for another Play Rough. Now, like I said, I don't like relying on Play Rough because of the whole 10% accuracy loss. But I actually don't miss a single Play Rough here, which actually is kind of astonishing, even though I got screwed up earlier with that. So I switch to the last Pokemon he has, which is Galingo. So I will say this here. Galingo has a one attack that special to him called Make It Rain. Make It Rain is a very powerful move, but it sharply lowers your special attacks that when it runs. Basically, it throws part of its coins at it in order to special attack. So if he was a physical user, this would have been a lot easier. But unfortunately, he's a Make It Rain is a special attack, and that means the burn really doesn't affect the damage it does. So I go for a Play Rough here. I knew it wasn't going to do a shit ton of damage, but did quite a decent amount. I figured Dachsbun was done anyway, so it goes for Make It Rain, which one-shots or finishes off Dachsbun. That, well, I guess you could call it almost a one-shot. He gets a critical hit as well, so he got a little lucky. Special attack goes down. So now we're both down to one Pokemon with very little health left. So he's going to take damage at the end of the turn from the burn. It says 3 minutes until battle ends, so we're actually getting pretty close here to the end. I switched to Beyonce. So I thought I won this here. Because I figured, well, if I go for Protect, the burn is going to finish him off. So I go for Protect. He goes for a Make It Rain. And Make It Rain technically did not connect, therefore the special attack does not go down. However, me using Protect there was kind of risky because it might not knock him out, and I was right. His burn actually takes down to literally 5 health. Or even lower than that. Like literally a smidge of health left. Like, okay, so I've got a problem here. So I go for another Protect, hoping that I get a double Protect. I was like, if there's the only thing I can do is go for that. Now, I could have gone for another Scald here. And that would have made it easier. Maybe I was just thinking too much on the defensive side. He goes for Make It Rain. I'm another 21 HP. Special attack goes down again. So if he didn't use Make It Rain against Dachsbun, he would have had enough special... Sorry about that. And then he gets hurt by the burn, and I literally won that battle with one Pokemon with a literal almost single digits left. So that was the entire battle. I want to thank everyone for watching. This is the Pokemon Fan 1993 signing off. I'll see you guys in the next video. Until then, take care. Bye.